So you're looking at the Atomos Sumo19 SE because you need a monitor that can actually keep up when you're on set, not just one that looks good in the listing photos. The last thing you want is to spend thousands only to find out the inputs stutter, the case doesn't fit in your cart, or the battery runs out before lunch. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. This isn't a monitor you buy on impulse, it's the piece of gear that sits between your camera and your editor, so every cable, every frame, and every button matters. The Sumo19 SE tries to do a lot monitoring, recording, switching, so the real question is whether it actually delivers when you're rolling at 6 a.m. with a client watching over your shoulder. First off, the screen is big enough to judge focus and exposure without squinting, and it's bright enough to see in daylight without washing out. That 19-inch 1080p panel isn't 4K, but it's sharp enough for critical focus checks and color grading previews. If you're used to OLED viewfinders on smaller cameras, the Sumo feels like stepping into a tiny edit suite. The HDR toggle is handy when you're matching shots across different cameras, but don't expect the same punch you'd get from a reference monitor that costs 3 times as much. Where this monitor earns its keep is the recording side. You can capture ProRes RAW up to 6K if your camera supports it, which gives your editor way more flexibility than plain H.264. That's the kind of detail that saves a shoot when the director suddenly wants to punch in on a wide shot. The downside is the file sizes. ProRes RAW chews through SSDs fast, so budget for extra media and a fast card reader. If you're still shooting proxy files for editorial, this might be overkill. The connectivity is solid. Dual 12G SDI and HDMI 2.0 inputs/outputs mean you can daisy-chain a camera, a switcher, and a backup recorder without hunting for adapters. That's the kind of thing you only appreciate when you're on a tight schedule and every cable counts. The XLR audio inputs are a nice touch if you're running lav mics or boom audio straight into the recorder, but if you're relying on the camera's preamps, you might not need them. Now, the practical catches. The supplied power brick is huge and runs hot, so don't plan on tucking it in a bag pocket. The included case is padded but not crush-proof, so if you're tossing it in the van every day, consider a Pelican upgrade. Battery life is decent with the Batwing, but if you're running the screen at full brightness and recording simultaneously, expect to swap packs mid-shoot. There's no internal battery bay, so you're locked into the Atomos ecosystem for power. Who should buy this? If you're a DP, a DIT, or a one-person band shooter who needs to monitor, record, and switch feeds without a rack full of boxes, the Sumo19 SE is worth the space it takes up. It's especially useful when you're on location and can't run back to base to offload footage. If you're a run-and-gun shooter who only needs a simple field monitor, you'll probably be happier with something lighter and cheaper. Who should skip it? If you're already invested in a full Atomos ecosystem with Shogun or Ninja recorders, the Sumo might feel redundant. If you don't shoot RAW or need the extra inputs, you're better off with a simpler 17-inch monitor that costs half as much. And if you're editing on a laptop with proxy files, the Sumo's file sizes could slow you down more than they help. Bottom line, the Sumo19 SE is a workhorse monitor recorder that earns its keep when you need to monitor, record, and switch on set without a stack of extra gear. It's not the smallest or the cheapest, but it's the one that actually fits in the cart when you're packing for a multi-day shoot. Check the link in the description if you want to see the latest price and specs.